Hello, welcome again to AfriScope TV. If this is your first time being on this channel, make sure you like. Sorry for that technical hitch. If this is your first time being on this channel, make sure you like the video. Join us by subscribing, sharing. Okay, share to your family, your friends, and let them join the AfriScope TV family. This is the only authentic show where we dive into real life stories, real truth, like things that will open your mindset about the world that you don't even know, and the ones that you know will give you much knowledge about how to prepare grounds and be that sophisticated human that is just not surviving but living the life that you deserve. Anyways, today's show is about who is recruiting incels. When I mean incels, I mean involuntary celibates. Who is recruiting incels? The shocking link that I found between African wars and the rise of involuntary celibates. Sorry for my background. My background is a bit noisy, but people are celebrating and we can't stop them from celebrating. So at the end of the day, we're still going to continue the show. We're still going to talk about this interesting story. And the link I personally found, I would like some of you to join the show, but it seems a lot of people are afraid of joining my show nowadays. But whatever you want to do with, however you want to take the message, it's okay for me. uh in fact, I need support. AfriScope TV needs support to expand my network. A lot of people are asking me, why are you not turning on your camera? I'm not afraid of camera. I've never been a person who is afraid of camera. But the truth is, my camera just doesn't handle brightness well. When I'm in, even with you, I have a ring light. When I use the ring light, it's too dark. So right now, I needed big support, not only support for camera, but put me on the next level to bring on board people who can also contribute to these nice topics that we're having on this platform. So if you want to support this show, um, unfortunately, I live in Africa and there are limited channels through which you can actually support this show. But you can use Wise, Remitly, or any payment method. But first of all, you need to reach out to me and let me send my details where you can actually forward it back. For now, I'm using Wise. Wise. So these are the links. If you want to support me with $5, there's the $5 link is the first one. The second link is the $10. It will all contribute to making this show a very good one. At this point, let me just start diving into the show. I want to know who is here. Please just sit. Shout out to anybody watching, people who like to watch but no comments. Anyone watching, hello to you. Um, with that much ado, let me just say, today we are diving into a topic spicier than an African mama's jollof rice. I know we are at a point where a lot of people are preparing the nicest jollof and giving some to their, distributing some to their neighbors to show off how good Ghanaian jollof and Nigerian jollof is, or whatever. Wherever you are, maybe you live in the States, you don't necessarily eat jollof rice, but you eat something like I think it's called it jambalaya or jambalaya. I don't know. But whatever rice you cook in the curry rice or whatever, this topic is, I promise, is gonna be nicer than that jollof rice. In fact, Incel Nation ends just an American thing. Okay. When I first discover what incel means, um or meant when I first discovered that it was actually from the British friends that actually brought up that term incels. But it's just not an American or British thing anymore. We are talking about Africa, where there where the struggle for love, money, and respect is realer than a January Hamatan. Okay, when you live in Africa before, you know that Hamatan wind, or during this time the wind tends to be very harsh on the skin. I'm talking to you carefully, trying to make you picture what it means to be incel in Africa. The love of money and love itself and respect is realer than a January Hamatan wind. So I want you to sit back, grab your chin chin, settle in, and then let's unpack the cultural casserole. So I want to tell you first some tales of two extremes, and this is how we start. You know, two young guys or men were at a bar. One is called Kwame, the other one is called Tunde, and they were at a bar, you know, and Kwame, rocking a three-piece suit, brags about his four wives, and then Tunde is over there looking down and out. You know, when I say down and out, lifeless. Whilst Kwame is talking about all the accomplishments, all that he has to do with women out there. The four wives. And in fact, polygamy is for the rich. Let me repeat again, polygamy is for the rich. Those like Kwame, who is rich, can afford to marry any type of woman and any number of women, of course. And talking about involuntary celibates, such as Tunde, who is the friend of Kwame, the system is rigged for somebody like Tunde. Tunde is unemployed. Tunde is still trying so hard, doing a lot of things to survive. And so the little that Tunde is, earning at the end of the day cannot even afford a 3 square meal, not alone to marry. So this is where the extreme comes in. So hold on, fellas. So Kwame's polygamy might be a tradition in Africa, okay? We know for a fact that our culture tend to be kind of yeah, we embrace the polygamy culture here in West Africa. But in fact, polyandry in general and the culture, when you look at it carefully, you realize that people in general are not just limited to monogamy. In people are people. Wherever you go, even in the states where people, these liberal democracies embrace monogamy so and uplift monogamy so highly, you look carefully at most families and they're still dealing with baby mamas, baby daddies, and what have you. In fact, they are married, but still they have baby mamas, they have baby daddy, they have sugar daddies, they have bambies, and whatever they call. So polygamy might be an African thing, but dowry is steeper than a mountain road. I'm talking about it. It's not for the faint-hearted. If you don't have the means, you can't be polygamous in Africa. Dowry is as steeper than a mountain. Mountain Kilimanjaro, is it Everest? Whatever. But Tunde, the friend of Kwame, okay, who is down, always confused, doesn't know what to do, being an incel, involuntary celibate due to economic and social problems that are beyond his control. Let me say this: it's uncool. Being is not cool on anybody. But let's face it. Jobs are scarier than palm oil in length over here in Africa. So when somebody is incel, you definitely know why they are. Okay. So carefully diving into this two story, that you know that one person tends to be economically fit to even marry, which is Kwame, and the other is not economically fit. That's where the true extremes comes to play. So let's talk about the extremist Boko Haram and the Sahel recruitment of incels. When I say Sahel recruitment, I just don't want to use the terms directly, but the extremist groups that populated the Sahel and North African regions, most of them do not go for people who have children and wives and have their life going on. They go for incels. Incels because they are there and they have nothing to do. They have nothing to lose. A lot of them want a little bit of drama in their life. A lot of them want a little bit of spices in their life. And of course, a lot of them are incels, meaning they also want to be accepted socially. In West Africa, especially where, you know, being married means a lot. It carries with it privileges. You are being honored just for marrying. Like people see you as a real man for marrying. So a lot of them want to be honored, want to be respected, want to earn that respect. So at the end of the day, if an extremist, of course, a religious extremist or whatever you want to call it, showed up at your doorstep and tells you you are unemployed. The reason you are unemployed and you are married is because of this system. We need to go back to Islam. And then when we go back to Islam, you would have the opportunity to marry any type of woman you want, because in Islam, women are not supposed to even go to school anyways. They are not supposed to do that. Men are supposed to take care of their children and their wives. And of course, a book is a haram. I mean, as they call Boko Haram, book is evil. Book is the reason. That's why our societies are divided. A lot of these women are going out there claiming they are schooling, and that's why you can't get them to marry. If they are no more going to school, you have access to more of them to marry. So this is where this is the crux of it. Boko Haram recruited a lot of incels and told them that a lot of these girls are in school, and it is actually a Western agenda to put them in school so that they will not be married, and they will the society wouldn't grow. They would, their population would decline, and when their population declines, what happens? The West will take over them, and that's why there is a need for them to come and fight the system, take the girls, marry them, impregnate them, settle with them, and that's how they are going to have a good future and a good life. That's the rhetoric. That's what actually is spread, and that's what the Western media doesn't channel. The Western media doesn't include that in the narrative, that the incels were told all this. This is how they convince young men that, hey, you are an involuntary celibate because of the system from the West, or the Western system. A lot of these girls over here are in school, and that's why you don't have access to them to marry and make babies. They don't tell them about, they don't talk about economics, sustainability. They don't tell them about how are they going to save their climate or their landscape from drought and famine. No, it's all about saving the incels. Anyways, that's one side of the story. By looking carefully on the other side of the of Africa, which is North East Africa, we know we have South Sudan. Meanwhile, in South Sudan, gun replaced wallets. You see men walking, young men, incels walking with guns rather than wallets. And their only means of survival and exchange of goods and services is through using guns to actually create dysfunction in their community in order to get whatever they need to survive. It's like a hustle. The hustle is for survival in those regions tends to be very harsh. And I can lie about that. So as we got people like Kwame, as I talk about, living like a king with four wives and queens, I mean, as we like to call, while we see Tunde is stuck as an incel is stuck in an incel purgatory. But hey, the West isn't innocent either. We got side chicks and sugar daddies living double lives, all while preaching monogamy from rooftops. Taller rooftops, their rooftops that they preach from is taller than the Burj Khalifa. Of course, but they preaching monogamy is the best. To create a very good communities, a very sustainable communities. It is the best for humanity, and they themselves are having the side chicks, the baby mama, the baby daddies, and what so have you. Now, talking about all of this, we know for a fact that when you try to talk about population and everything else relating to relationship in Africa, one of the things that we cannot exclude from our discussion is about how everything regarding this has been showcased in the media. I mean, let's show how you know, let's just talk about how the Western media is education are often, blamed for corruption. We often say, oh, the Western media is responsible for promoting um, or corrupting African morals, and we often utilize discussions and topics related to the LGBTQ right as a means to say, oh, the Western media and its education is corrupting Africa's morals. You know, and it's like a political football. If you look at it carefully, we some seeing it as a Western plot to control population, and at the end of the day, hold on, let's hold our horses. LGBTQ people have, I mean, people of different characters have always been part of life. But at the end of the day, when we take out of the narrative, what about incels? What about incels? People who are ready, but due to circumstances beyond their control, they are not. It's like they are not fit to marry because they don't have the means. You don't have the money, you can marry. That's it. So judging folks based on who the kind of groups they affiliated to is often not related to this particular discussion about how the incels are being recruited. But at the end of the day, we need to bring it up to make a point here that the bigger cross of this discussion is how do we deal with incels? How do we deal with incels? A lot of men, young men, unemployed, have lack money, lack motivation, and they are there. I mean, they are seeking for a good relationship, but guess what? They can afford it. They can afford it. They don't have jobs. Anyways, even in the polygamous relationship, it's not all that bed of roses, okay? You might often come across maybe example in the situation that I'm stating right now. Maybe Kwame's wives might get fed up with his polygamy, and of course they would start doing some side hustle, selling something on the roadside, trying to hustle, make some more money themselves. And also, somebody like Tunde who join the team and be like, oh, there is more than there is more to life than being an incel. And some of them will also move to the other side and start, exploring other things for themselves. At the end of the day, it's not all about relationship, but it's all about what we want and the values of every society. If a society values marriage, then incels becomes a problem. But if it doesn't, then it's not a problem. Now, let's stop blaming the West. I mean, I'm fed up with us Africans always saying, the West created the problem. We got to create a. Yes, let's stop blaming the West. We need to create opportunities for the youth, jobs that don't involve AK-47s or sugar daddies. You know, let's invest in education, the right form of education, support entrepreneurship, and let's love to be loved. Let's love to be loved. I mean, what else to say? Anyways, on your screens, right? I'm showing a news articles from, I think, Voice of Africa. Is it our Voice of America, VOA? And if you look carefully at the image, you see young men in the Saharan region how they are being recruited into this insurgency, and the way they are displaying Quranic texts, showing their commitment and dedication to the terrorism. Of course, let me just keep it as simple as that. So, so far, we've seen that if you explore this article carefully, it's only telling us about how brutal it is, how they are destroying, but at the end of the day, how are they getting the people? How do they get these people to join? To join. In fact, they are human. They also want to live. They don't want to die. But when an incel think that they are worthless, they easily fall a victim to all of these exploitation and extremist groups. Yes. When an incel is fed up and be like, no, there is no place for me, they can easily be lured into all of these what they call extremist groups or all of these crimes. Nothing is more bigger for them to do because they don't have any responsibility. They don't have anything to lose. I want to share another content, right? So this is when the Chibok girls. This article talks about the Chibok girls abduction. How the Boko Haram raided schools and captured females, female students. In fact, A lot of them were captured and shared like a piece of meat among the Boko Haram members yeah, let me just say members. And a lot of them became pregnant, and some of them even had babies with them, even in the wilderness. So that tells you how brutal some of these incels can be. Not even brutal. When I'm saying brutal, I might be making them actually brutal, but let's talk about the whole idea of incels, like involuntary celibates or involuntary celibacy. If it is this harsh, look at what they can do. That people can go and capture students from classroom and take them forcefully as wives, make babies with them, and they care less whether they are healthy or not healthy, whether they are living or not living, they don't care. So this is where we are now. And that is serious because the more influence rise, the more crimes are going to be rising. The more of these war crimes are going to rise. The more insults rise, the more crimes will rise. Anyways, so insults. How do we deal with insults? If insults are that bad, how do we deal with them? That is another discussion that we need to explore. That there is actually a clear link that some of the wars here in Africa are caused or influenced by insults. A lot of them have nothing to do, have no responsibility. They jump on anything that comes to them as a form of disguise, as a form of opportunity, and they be like, "Hey, I'm going, I'm here, I ain't doing nothing, I ain't worth it anyway. So why won't I just go on board and do and join them and raid communities and you know what?" And according to one of the news articles that I've discovered from South Sudan, the one of the military, not even a military, one of those extremists was stating clearly that it's expensive to marry in South Sudan. So they normally raid rich folks who have a lot of cattle. And when they raid their cattle, that's when they are able to make money and use that money as a means to procure a cattle or to steal those cattle. Sometimes they do steal, they rob as well. But carefully, they raid those farms, steal their cattle, and use it as a means to exchange for women as a form of dowry. Yeah. So in cultures where we know for a fact that there is polygamy, there is a cost to polygamy as well. You just don't get any woman just like that. You have to pay. And when they are not having the means to, what do? They get on board, carry their guns, they raid people's farms, and that's how they are able to get the cattle and whatever and use it in exchange for any woman, for the number of women they want or whatever. So it's a big problem that the world is facing currently, that it's not only limited to Africa. There are insults everywhere. It's not that women are not available, but number one cause is often economic. Economy plays a fundamental role when it comes to men having access to women. And when we're talking about incels, many of them do not have what it takes to have a woman or to marry. Yes. So you and I have a work to do. You and I don't know whether you're a policymaker. I don't know what organization we work for. But next time we are talking about war crimes in Africa, in specifically sub-Saharan Africa, let's include the fact that the people that they are recruiting are incels. They are involuntary celibates. A lot of the people that are being recruited are involuntary celibates. Now, come back. Whilst we also talk about involuntary celibate, let's also think about how to create an engaging community where young men do not feel like they are left alone. Like they are like crashes or unworthy of life. Let's create an engaging community for people to thrive, to live a normal life, because that's the only way we can stop the incels from joining those extremist groups or committing violence. Once again, this video is to explore the complex interplay between ongoing, you know, conflict in sub-Saharan African region and how economic hardship and the rise of involuntary celibate communities made this possible. We know for a fact that extremist groups like Boko Haram and the ones that are crowded in the Sahel region, they exploit vulnerable young men to further their agendas. Whilst they highlight the need for economic opportunity and social support to address the root cause of incelism, the truth is they are not incels because they want to. It's because it's economically. Many of that culture of incels, communities rising and being antagonistic to society is as a result of economic constraints. And that's why, whilst we talk about incels, we also have to deal with the bigger facts or the problem, the crux at hand, that we need to solve our socio-economic problems. This is a little bit I want to say today. I just don't want to keep long for here, because sometimes when the show is that long, you know, people disengage easily. I'd want to know what you also think about incels. Do you think this data I'm gathering currently, there is a proof to that? What do you suggest we do to avoid incels being recruited or being used to destroy our communities, our vulnerable communities. Once again, remember to support AfriScope TV. The links and the support link is there. This is these links, will only be available from now to January 22nd. So please do well. The donation is welcome, $5, $10. Let's keep this show going. I do want to start coming on live and showing my face and not just turning off the camera, but it will depend on you. Make it possible. Let's make this show a big one. Keep supporting AfriScope TV. Like, share, support, subscribe, and let's keep having a great show. Without much ado, stay safe and see you in the next show.